Hello and welcome to the session Innovate Your Business with Google Cloud Industry Solutions. My name is Hans Taubauer. I'm the Managing Director for Supply Chain and Logistics Solutions at Google Cloud. Together with my colleague Dinesh, we will walk you through the session where we talk about the value Google Cloud brings to the enterprises. We will focus on the innovation supply chain is bringing to the table. We will talk about customer examples, and then we'll leave you with some thoughts at the end. With that, I want to hand over to Dinesh.
Thank you, Hans. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dinesh Vandayar. I'm part of the SAP practice here at Google Cloud. My role at Google Cloud is to develop industry solutions that enhance SAP business processes and workflows. I've been at Google since the beginning of the year. Before that, I spent 2 decades at SAP or the ecosystem. Now I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about why Google Cloud Platform is uniquely suited for developing industry solutions. In order to better understand Google Cloud, we need to look at Google itself. At Google, we have 9 applications that have at least 1 billion users each. And we've learned quite a lot from serving billions of users each and every day. And if I were to distill those learnings into some principles, the core principles will be around user experience. It would be around availability. We're proud of the fact that a lot of them would check to see if the internet is up or not by just typing in google.com. Some of the other principles are adaptability, scalability. And why are these things important for an SAP customer? So what we have done is we've taken the best of what Google has to offer and the learnings from serving billions of users each and every day. And these are consumer applications operating at consumer speed. And what I call this, Google's integrated supercomputer. We've taken all those components, we've decomposed them, and made them available as a Google Cloud Platform for any enterprise to use and really sort of build applications that are relevant to their industry the same way that Google does. For example, if you think about the infrastructure of as a service, or the data services, the platform and app management, the AI and ML capabilities, the analytics capabilities, the API management, all of these features that are required to serve billions of users that Google does each and every day, we are now making it available through the Google Cloud Platform. And if I were to pick a specific example, we have a database among many databases that are available within the Google Cloud Platform, a particular database called Cloud Spanner. And this is a database that records events as it happens in true time. We have an atomic clock and a GPS clock on the database servers that records events as and when they happen globally based on the true time. Why is this important, for an area like supply chain? If you look at a lot of the customers, they struggle to solve the end-to-end visibility from a supply chain perspective. Recording these events based on true time and creating this immutable ledger based on which you can build applications will let you provide that end-to-end visibility. So this is the advantage of using Google Cloud Platform to build applications or industry solutions that are relevant for you. Now I'm going to hand it over to Hans to walk us through the rest of the supply chain strategy. Back to you, Hans.
Thank you so much, Dinesh, and thank you really for laying out the technology and how technology can influence supply chain, how we can leverage actually this technology to run supply chain in a very different way. That's also the part I will cover now. It's about how we innovate in supply chain. And when you see this little logo here on the screen, which really indicates exactly what we are aiming for. Google stands for organizing the world's information. It stands for intelligence. You see the color green, which is really indicating sustainability. You see also the circles, the circular economy aspect, and you see the cloud, which also is indicating the transparency which we want to bring to the supply chain. So why do we think this is so important to have a transparent and sustainable supply chain? Well, let's first take a look at the market. We see here actually a view on the CEO's agenda. You probably will not find the word supply chain on the CEO's agenda, but you will definitely find the words customer experience, sustainability, and automation on the CEO's agenda. Customer experience. Why is this so important for supply chain, you might think? Well, it's all about the delivery of the products. We all know e-commerce, right? And you order something online, you want to have it delivered fast. So the delivery experience is very, very much for customers. So delivery definitely impacts the customer experience. Also, the quality of the product impacts the customer experience, and the service which you want to provide for an asset or for a product, again, also influences and impacts the customer experience. So you see, when it comes to delivery, the product quality, the service, that's all front and center for chief supply chain officers. So that's why this is so important to, and can influence the customer experience. Sustainability, another big topic. There's not a single company in the world which didn't went out there and indicated what the targets are in terms of sustainability. Most companies have introduced the reduction of carbon footprint by a significant percentage by a specific year. So a typical example would be reducing carbon footprint by 50% in the year 2025. Right? So these are very significant targets, and these targets need to be realized. And here supply chain is front and center. It's not just in the manufacturing processes, it's also in the logistics processes, transportation, just think about it, or the energy management and warehouse management. But then it also comes down to the usage of materials like plastic, when you design a product, when you source a product, where's the product coming from? So sustainability is highly impacted by supply chain highly impacts sustainability. The third major topic on the CEO agenda, automation. And it's of course not only the robotics and the drones in the manufacturing plants or in warehouses, it's also about the business process automation. So big topic is here also, how can artificial intelligence, how can machine learning help to digitize business processes in the supply chain, in the manufacturing processes? So we know supply chain is a very strategic topic for the CEOs of a company. But we also know that supply chains are distressed. I mean, everyone, I think, has experienced this throughout the entire year. There are four areas which I want to cover why the supply chains are so much under distress right now. First one is, of course, the pandemic. And the pandemic has accelerated the shift to e-commerce. For all industries which are very consumer oriented, so the retail, consumer products, the fashion, the consumer electronics industries. So all these industries really have seen a huge shift in how they go to market and how they sell the products. The aspect of e-commerce really accelerated dramatically. And this, of course, means I need to shift overnight my supply chain. I need to change my supply chain. I need to allocate inventory differently. Second aspect is trade wars. Trade wars, or changes in trade, if you will, have accelerated the regionalization. Without any doubt, actually, there's more regionalization taking place. And it's, by the way, not only because of the trade war between the US and China. There are many trade negotiations around the world, and all of these have led to much more regionalization. Regionalization means that I have manufacturing plants in the region or warehouses and distribution centers in the region. So the supply chains are changing here. Hand in hand with that goes automation. With the introduction of regionalization means I need to have highly automated processes to keep the cost down, to be competitive in these markets. So I introduce a lot of automation. But automation also means, and has been introduced because customers ask for more and more individualized products or personalized products. In order to produce that, I need to have the robotics, I need to have the automation in place, which allows me to do that and go to smaller lot sizes. The fourth aspect, which is distressing the supply chain, is extreme climate. We have seen that this year, especially with the wildfire in California. We have seen it with so many hurricanes in Florida. We have seen it with typhoons in Japan. So everything between the typhoons and hurricanes and wildfires really constantly impacts and disrupts the supply chain. So what we know as a fact is supply chain is a top priority for the CEOs. What we also know is the supply chains are very distressed. How are people in supply chain dealing with it? What are the supply chain professionals telling us? The number one issue everyone is telling us again and again and again, I need more visibility in the supply chain. I don't have the view I need in order to really react very fast. And this is true for all sizes of companies. This is not just a phenomenon for small companies where you could argue, well, maybe they don't have the sophisticated supply chain solutions in place. It's also true for the large enterprises. They do have more information available, but there is, in many cases, and too many cases, no real-time visibility available, which would guide and help the supply chain professionals to make the right decisions. And this is what I mean, right? So when there is a disruption, there's definitely a disruption during the day. They need to have a real-time view on what is going on. Also, if they make a decision, they want to check, what does this mean? What does it do? So they ask for artificial intelligence, they ask for simulation, they ask for machine learning, which will guide them, which will help them to understand what is really going on in the supply chain. How do I actually move forward? So what we think, what we need to do, and what we as Google Cloud need to do is we need to introduce this visibility, bring this visibility to the table, not by replacing your existing system landscape, but by leveraging it, by connecting information, by organizing information. So what we want to do is we want to change the world by leveraging intelligence to create a transparent and sustainable supply chain for everyone. This is very, very important because here we really want to think about how can we use and organize the information in a private way, in a secure way, not sharing information among everyone. It's definitely not the case. It's a private supply chain network we think about here. And we also think about that it's important to understand that it's very secure. But then also, how can we create the intelligence on top of this data if I have end-to-end real-time data? What kind of business processes can I enable? And definitely this goes through end-to-end, the end-to-end supply chain, where we can leverage artificial intelligence very, very much. Very important also in our concept is that we tie in sustainability right from the beginning. It's not an afterthought, it's actually front and center. We believe supply chain has a huge impact on sustainability and vice versa. So it needs to be embedded in all the business processes. And let's actually really look at some customer examples. How do we really deal with that? And what customers saying? What are customers doing with Google Cloud Platform in the supply chain context? And for that, I want to hand back to Dinesh.
Thank you, Hans. I'm going to use two examples here. The first one is a company called Fast Retailing. They're the parent company for Uniqlo, and they're based in Japan. And they came to us with two problems to be addressed. One is they wanted to improve their forecast accuracy. The second one is they wanted to improve their assortment plan. And as with most retailers and most companies, they use a traditional rules-based application where you take historical data, maybe 2 to 3 years worth of historical data, apply a statistical model on top of it, and out comes the forecast. And for Uniqlo, that's not enough, mainly because they're in fashion retail company, and there are a lot of hyper trends, regional trends that impact the forecast accuracy. So we actually built a model for them using some of the trends data that's available in Google Cloud. Along with that, we also applied some AI and machine learning logic on top of it to actually improve their forecast accuracy and their assortment plan. This is a classic example where if you're an SAP customer, you don't have to change your business processes. You don't have to change your workflows. You don't have to change your S&OP planning process. They can still run in the SAP applications that they're designed for. They run beautifully well in these applications. So this is a good example of what customers can do to improve forecast accuracy. And the rule of thumb is, McKinsey has said for every 10% improvement in forecast accuracy, you're going to improve 5% improvement in working capital. And that's huge for a lot of our customers. And the next example that I want to talk about here is Unilever. Most of you know Unilever. They have over 400 different products, operate in about 190 different markets. They have well over 2.5 billion users of their products each and every day. And one of the goals that they set was to really create a meaningful relationship, a one-on-one relationship with at least 1 billion of their consumers. And this is not trivial. This is not just chucking some content at them and hoping that it sticks, but to really create a meaningful dialogue with them. They're also, a huge user of Google Ads and Google Marketing Platform. They have a lot of data about consumer behaviors captured in these systems, and they wanted to actually make this more accurate. So they started working with Cloud AI, or Vision API, Translation API, and natural language processing APIs to actually understand how these campaigns are working in real time. So one of the examples is the Close-Up toothpaste, which is a very popular brand in Asia. Through our search analytics, they understood that one of the most searched terms around the Close-Up brand was learning how to kiss. So they launched a campaign around Valentine's Day in 6 different Asian markets. And for the first time ever, they're actually able to monitor the effectiveness of these campaigns using our cloud, Vision API and NLP and Translation API. And how they were able to do it is they looked at the social media feeds. They looked at the pictures that users were posting in response to this campaign. They used our Vision API to not only understand those images, but also the surrounding imagery, and looked at the text that the users were posting in response to the campaign. And they quickly found out it wasn't hitting the mark. One of the things that they found was because the cultural sensitivities in the Asian markets are different, they differ widely, even within a country like Indonesia, between 2 different markets, they're different. They were able to, first of all, understand that this was happening in the very short time they launched the campaign, and they were able to correct it. They were able to make over 200 edits to correct the campaign. Now, think about this from a supply chain perspective. How it impacts demand and supply. I mean, if I have that sort of consumer behavior data, I can absolutely use that to improve my forecast accuracy. I can absolutely use the 200 edits that they made in real time to reposition stock transport orders in SAP to see where the actual demand is. So that is absolutely possible today with the technologies that we have. And the call for action is, if you want to learn more about these industry solutions, you can reach out to Hans and I, or you can actually go to our website that's on this page, to the industry solutions page, and learn more about what Google Cloud is doing in terms of developing industry solutions that we believe are augmenting SAP business processes and workflows. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Good luck. Thank you.